Hello, I'm Lanny Henson. I design and prototype biomass fired appliances. This is my commercial duty wood-fired school lunch cooker, which features my unique top lit combustor or TLC burner and my new exhausted pot shell. The school lunch cooker is an all-weather outdoor cooker, so today I'm doing a cooking test in the rain and I'm testing the limits of the TLC's burner to burn damp and wet wood. The camera is under a metal roof, and that is part of the sound you're hearing. In goes about 2 kilograms of wood. There are some fist-sized pieces and some smaller pieces and some finger-sized pieces. I like to use a candle and wax as fuel starter because if you have moist wood, you can add a little wax at a time to dry and heat the kindling to a point that it will sustain a fire. This is a piece of oak that has been splintered on the end. I designed this stove to cook the larger quantities necessary for school lunch programs in places like Haiti. It heats a 40-quart sauce pot or a 60-quart stock pot, which is the same diameter, just a little taller, and it heats a 22-inch pan module. This stove has a unique charcoal burner that I designed. It sits in the top section of the wood burner to burn charcoal, and it is very efficient. You can also grill directly over the charcoal burner or directly over the wood burner after the flames have burned down a bit. Once the splinters are lit, I placed them on top of the batch of wood and added some small pieces on top. The TLC burner is easy to use. You can load up a batch of wood and forget about it, or you can add more wood if necessary to boost the heat and extend the cooking time. I'm using the top tray from the pot shell as a rain cover to give the fire a chance to heat up. This stove has good natural draft, so it starts up quickly. It's been about 2-3 minutes since I put the lit pieces in, and we have enough flames to start cooking. So on goes the 40-quart stock pot, sauce pot. Dry fuel may not always be available in wet environments. That is about 30 liters of water. Today, I'm using my exhausted pot shell design with the 40-quart sauce pot. The top tray caps the pot shell so that it totally encloses the pot. The pot shell captures and holds heat, and it can be used as a retained heat cooker. The pot shell also adds draft, and it makes cooking in the rain possible. Another benefit of total enclosure is the pot is heated from the top as well as from the sides and the bottom. For access to the pot, you simply slide the tray back. It is easier than removing a lid. The top tray also dries wood and warms food items. The pot shell has an optional short chimney that adds draft and exhausts the fumes up out of the cooking space. Cook space air pollution can be a problem for outdoor cooking as well as indoors. Dry wood may not always be available in wet and humid environments. The flames are lapping the pot as the kindling burns down, and that can cause incomplete combustion. Flames should not touch the pot. There was a little smoke, but the exhaust cleared up in about 2 minutes. The fire has stabilized, so in goes some dry wood to see what happens. Being able to add wood to a batch burner without creating smoke makes the stove much more functional. You can't add wood to most batch fuel pyrolytic TLUD burners without creating smoke. The exhaust looks clear. Like I said, dry wood may not always be available. You may only have wet wood. This wood has been soaking for 26 minutes. Let's toss in a chunk and see if it causes the TLC burner to smoke. The heat waves have diminished, but the exhaust looks clear. The TLC burner is looking good. Let's try that again. This time I'm using a round piece that has not been split, which is a little more difficult to burn. In goes another piece of wet wood, and still no smoke. Being forgivable of mistakes makes a cooker much more functional. The cook may have few skills, no motivation, or even a bad attitude. It's been 4 minutes since I put the second piece of wet wood in, and in goes a chunk of wet concrete block. If wet concrete does not make the TLC burner smoke, I think I can say that it is forgiving. I see fewer heat waves, but no smoke. Now this even amazes me. I thought there would be some visible smoke, but I'm only seeing heat waves. Wow. Cleanup is easy. This stove has a sanitary design, so there are few places for bacteria to hide. Being able to cook in extreme weather makes an outdoor emergency survival cooker a lot more practical, because in wet, windy weather may just be the time that you need hot food and water the most. I'm using a water hose to simulate driving rain. This stove will cook in most any weather, rain, wind, ice, or most anything Mother Nature can throw at it. Being able to relight a stove that has lost flaming combustion is an important feature because you may encounter very extreme conditions. The cook may forget to add wood, or you may need to extend the simmering time. I extinguished the flame, squirting water down the exhaust, so I added some splinters to the hot charcoal, and it took about 5 minutes to relight the stove to get to this point that I could start adding more finger-sized pieces of wood to boost the heat back up. The burner fired right back up, and the exhaust looks clear. I do not see any smoke. We're boiling at 49 minutes. During this cooking session, I added some wood, and it didn't smoke. Then I added wet wood twice, and then a chunk of wet concrete block. I gave the stove a shower with a water hose to simulate driving rain, and I had to relight the stove because I extinguished the fire by squirting water into the exhaust outlet. And even with that, we're still boiling at 49 minutes. I'm adding the last 4 pieces of wet wood. This stove has been wet for about 50 minutes, so it should have soaked up a significant amount of water. If 4 pieces of wet wood does not make the burner smoke, after the other wet wood and the wet concrete, I think I can say that the TLC burner is a significant design. Let's take a look at the exhaust, and the exhaust looks clear. I see no smoke. Wow, I'm very pleased with this design. This stove just wants to cook.